Good afternoon. This is Michael and Robin from Sunraven. It is Wednesday, November 4th, and we are here to continue this conversation about wellness, or wellness talks, we call it. And it's our intention to discuss things that we are feeling ourselves and that we are sensing other people are experiencing in the world around us, with an eye toward cultivating community around the subjects of how we can help each other be as well as possible. Today, the day after the US election, we figured that a lot of people would be swirling with feeling, emotion in particular, and though this is a specific date in time, I think the experience of feeling in the middle of the storm of emotions is something that we experience from time to time, all of us. And the important aspects that I think these experiences offer is to make use of them in a way to practice, to not lose track and to be overwhelmed with the emotional state. Because when we get there, we often lose our bearings. Maybe we, as we commonly will easily be able to recall, often in such times we say things we don't necessarily mean. We may even act out in certain ways with behaviors that are not going to contribute to our well-being or the well-being of others. So we have all sorts of ways of dealing with the stress of these emotions, and they could contribute to our ongoing challenges of feeling well. So how we handle these storms, we call them, is going to be a practical subject for today. One last thing I'll add, Robin, before I sort of invite you to sort of join in with your thoughts, is people, often think about health. Are they healthy? And the simplest answer that they seek at times is a doctor tells them you're healthy or not because your blood work or your physical exam is okay. Of course, we realize from a holistic point of view that the physical body isn't the only way to assess health. In fact, if you contain it to just the physical body, you're likely to overlook things like our emotional state. But it can be said, whether we're looking at the physical body by itself or our emotions or more holistically, that the real definition of health isn't reflected in an image, whether it's blood test or a photograph. It's how quickly, when perturbed, we return to a state of balance and normal, meaning healthy function. So it's a functional assay. And so healthy people, physically healthy people, will get sick. They'll get infectious diseases, as an example, the flu or COVID, but they recover really well. They recover relatively quickly and thoroughly. That's the definition of health, the working, operational, practical definition of health. So similarly, when we're challenged with something like emotional storms, it's not that we're not going to feel them. In fact, we're going to maybe be sick with them for a period of time, but how quickly we resolve, not get rid of, but as the quicker we can return to our path, the one that we have chosen that we think is going to be likely to contribute to the most fulfilling life, that's the sign of health that we're looking to achieve. So Robin, what are your thoughts on the subject?
Well, I absolutely add on to what you're saying about whether we respond to life or we react. So the reaction actually throws us back. We talk about a lot into that fight or flight moment of threat. And so thinking about how to hold and how to make a space for our emotions to keep us grounded. Our topic tonight is how today, I've been up all night, 4 o'clock, no sleep. My words are going to come out a little mumble jumbled. So how to stay grounded and what we can do to ground so we actually don't participate in the reactive energy of fight or flight. And if we stay there too long, then it is much more difficult to get into that grounded place. So the most important thing is to understand right now is to take care of ourselves and to see what is working in our lives right now. Even right now, we're sort of in the unknown. We may have unknowns with a lot of things, with COVID, with the election. So really give yourself the time and you know, and the presence of really checking in and again allowing yourselves to feel and be curious about what you're feeling. When we actually feel the feelings, they don't quite hijack us as much as Michael's describing, where just, you know, we react. And yes, we may react. However, the more we practice, when we do react, it's like, okay, what do we need now? And that would be grounding practices.
Well, one of the things I think you said, which was so important, which is essentially the reason slow medicine is the phrase we use for the work that we do. You said something critical, which is take the time. So take the time when you become aware that you're in the midst of some sort of storm, that you take the time, instead of shooing it away, bypassing it, you know, putting it off, you take the time to fully recognize its presence and some of the aspects of it so that you don't lose it entirely. Now, you might then, with the time that you take to do that assessment, figure out that maybe now's not the best time to get into it too deeply. Let's say you're driving your car and you've got to pay attention to the road. You know, there are times when there are other demands of your attention that are priorities.
Right.
However, that doesn't mean you put it off too far into the future or indefinitely, for sure. But you take the time to do that assessment and you triage. And if now is not the time, you figure out when you will get back to it, but you don't lose track of the details, which is part of the assessment, because you want to go back to them. You want to take that inventory and, you know, address the elements that are coming up for you so that you fully experience and ultimately can assimilate what you're going through.
If we can see this as we need food, you know, to be nurtured and to for our life energy force. So if we think of energy, so as Michael's saying, you may not be able to process in this moment because you may be driving a car, you may be needing to show up for your children or a project or work, and to stay focused and to make sure, like, you will eat your dinner tonight, that you will take time to decompress and maybe sit in quiet and really reflect with compassion and love, because we really need that. And it's not what we're saying or who, you know, it's more of who we're being. So we can choose to, we have choice of what we actually can control right now. And anything that might be the feeling of out of control, generally we might feel powerless about the future, about the election, about COVID. And here we pull in, and I work, you know, with spiritual energy about really grounding and connecting to what is right now. So this morning for me, I didn't sleep last night. I was up to 4 o'clock, and I did sleep a little. I just said, let this go. Tomorrow, you know, will unfold. And the first thing that I couldn't wait to do this morning is get outside and do some earthing, put my feet on the ground. It's a beautiful day today, and the sun is out, and the trees are alive, and the animals, and just really take that into what is. So that's one or two things that I think are really important of what we actually can do at this time to ground ourselves. And I just want to say one other thing. This ability to feel a variety of feelings, which is our preference. When we don't allow, when we push down those feelings, we were talking last week about the shadow, that's when we get in trouble. That's when the strong reactions come up, where it goes underground. So we want to really bring in with compassion and love and be really curious about, what am I feeling right now? And if we need to cry, even if we need to yell or scream, we can get it out different ways that is non-harming, where it's non-violent communication, which is, you know, journaling, yoga, movement, creative endeavors, cook a nutritious meal, do something kind. Back to the self-care, I think, is key and essential.
Yeah, so to do some more reflection on the great wisdom that you're sharing right now is the idea that who you're being is ultimately where you begin. So I have feelings is part of who you are being. I'm a human being with feelings. There's nothing wrong with any of that. So therefore being kind to yourself is good. And so often when I'm being real and I have these feelings, they need to be honored and respected. I need to honor and respect my own feelings. But then I might need to, as you're saying then, the concept of groundedness. So when you're feeling unstable though, because those feelings sometimes can present a sense of overwhelm, the first way in is to accept, acknowledge their existence, the existence of you as a real human being with feelings, and then say, okay, so if I'm off balance, then what do I need to do? I need to center myself. And so a couple of things you said, grounding, literally, feet on the ground, like you said, you went outside, feet on the ground, or nature itself, which has so much power in many ways, literally hugging a tree, or feeling the sun on your face, or even the rain on your back. These are ways of feeling connected to something very big and stable, the earth, very big and stable. Nourishing yourself inside. So certain foods give us that comfort, right? So that's why we call them comfort foods. So warm, hearty foods can be really comforting. And sometimes what we need to do is not figure this out, process it, even sort of get into the deep learning that might be involved with it. But initially, we just need to center ourselves. And literally, the earth, elements of nature and nourishment can be really important. Another suggestion I have, it just makes me think of, some people get nourishment not only in nature, but with other beings. So other people, somebody who might actually give you a hug or hold you, animals. So people find great benefit of being with animals because of their unconditional love and affection. Just touching an animal or even observing an animal sometimes is what we need. And then there's even art, like certain types of music and creative arts, expressional arts of other people who you can imagine were in some sort of similar state, and this is the manifestation of that. So there's a connectedness. So those are the suggestions, Robin. I think I'd leave it here, quite honestly, because part of the groundedness is to take care of yourself and give yourself time. And we want to leave you with, as sort of clear and simple direction, especially during this time, without getting into too many words or too many details. Because sometimes in groundedness, what you need is silence. What you need is stillness, to just be, just feel.
Which is unconditional love and compassion are absolutely essential. So we can sit and then we be like, oh wow, my mind, watch the stories, watch where the mind goes, and in that stillness it's really getting into the body, into the somatic energies of the body, and see today what is beautiful in your life and what you actually do have a choice, control over, and the wisdom to know the difference for today, what you don't, and to trust in even asking the universe to support us with what it is maybe that you would like. And I think that might be peace and not to be divided. And this is today our topic is stay integrated, grounding, feeling our way through. And once we feel, we're going to feel lighter, and we cannot use our prefrontal cortex properly if we're hijacked with emotions. So for today, stay as loving as possible, and we look forward to speaking with you next week.
Yeah. I would say one last thing, which is sometimes when we are overwhelmed, when we're feeling that storm of emotions, figuring it out may not be the most important thing at the moment. It may just be to ground, is to get still, find comfort in what's around you that's stable, and stay there. And sometimes things resolve to some point of sorting out where you can get the and the clarity to then do some work. So anyway, so let's leave it with those thoughts and our expression of deep gratitude for your presence here with us today, and our hope that some of the words that we've shared with you and these ideas will really make a difference for you.
Yes. And don't forget to reach out to a friend, to us, if you really just need some support processing whatever is going on for you. It really, really does move that energy and brings a connection back into our hearts. So,
Yeah. So write us too, info@slowmedicine.org, or the website slowmedicine.org, if you really want to connect with us directly or share any thoughts or ideas that you have for us going forward. Anyway, have a great week. Bye-bye.